Greetings, YPA families. Ms. Kit Carey, your middle school principal, just wanted to share a few updates and reminders now that we're a couple of weeks into second semester. I always like to start off conversations by talking a little bit about our mission here at York Prep, which is to ensure that our students possess the knowledge, skills, character, and determination necessary to excel in their chosen post-secondary pursuits in life. When we have conversations with our kids, be it about academics, behavior, relationships, or whatever, we try to get them focused on what those next steps are. Of course, high school's next for us, but also thinking about college, careers, and how the decisions they're making today are preparing them or potentially hindering them from those opportunities. And we really appreciate the parents who partner with us in these conversations. Moving into reminders, first off is morning drop-off. Middle school students can be dropped off at the elementary, middle school, or student union. So essentially they cannot be dropped off at the high school or in parking lots. We do ask that you please ensure that your student stays in your car until 7:45 in the morning. They should immediately report to homeroom, and then they'll be given permission to go to breakfast. Students should then be seated in homeroom by 8:15 a.m. And we will work with students who are having excessive tardies, as that is a huge disruption to their learning as well as the learning in the classroom where they're entering. On the opposite side is afternoon pickup. Car riders are dismissed from designated areas. So for the most part, our car riders are dismissed from homeroom. Therefore, you should be going through the car line for their designated building, be that the middle school or the student union. However, our students cannot be picked up in the elementary building or at the high school building, and therefore they are not, which is why they're not allowed to walk to any other buildings on campus without permission. We dismiss bus riders and approved walkers from homeroom at the designated times. And if your student is involved in after-school activities, they will report back to homeroom. And once that activity coordinator is available, they will come by and we will make an announcement for your student to be dismissed. All car riders should be picked up by 3:30 Monday through Thursday and 2 o'clock on Friday. Transition students, the expectation is that they report immediately to their next class. Transitions within buildings should be quiet, and we expect at all transitions no running, playing, yelling, or waiting. And I would say too, if you see with attendance that you have any unexcused tardies or weird absences marked in the middle of the school day, that probably means that your student's not getting to their next class in a timely manner. So that's a good time to have a conversation with them about that. Attendance. State law mandates attendance requirements. So if you receive a letter or requested for a meeting for attendance, again, that is based on the state law, excuse me, and how they mandate what we track, what letters we send out, what types of meetings we have to have for attendance. You are allowed a maximum of 5 parent notes for lawful absences such as student illness. So please send those in to attendance@yorkprepsc.org within 3 days of the return from the absence. Same thing, we do accept doctor's notes, but we need to receive those within 3 days of return. And once a student does return, they are responsible for making up all work missed due to the absence. So we suggest that students work with their teachers to make sure that they get that done. The typical deadline is 5 days upon return, but if your student has been out for an extended period of time, they can work with their teachers on a time frame for completing their work. And I would say too, obviously, while attendance is mandated by the state, it is exceedingly important for students to be here in order to be learning. But it's also one of your greatest indicators to your students that you really value their education by making sure that they're here on time every day. As they say, actions speak louder than words, and that's definitely the case when it comes to education and attendance. Cell phone and communications. We expect that cell phones are turned off and in backpacks from 7:30 to 3:30. If we see them, we do confiscate them, and students will receive consequences if that continues. Smartwatches are allowed on campus. However, they cannot be used as a cell phone. So if they're used as a watch, great. However, if your student does try to make phone calls or text through their smartwatch, or tries to record people through their smartwatch, then that will fall under the cell phone rules. Similarly, we do require actually students to have headphones on campus or earbuds, but they must have a wire. So please make sure that your students are not bringing AirPods to campus. If your student is sick, they need to see the nurse. So please make sure that they know to do that if they're having any issues, and the nurse will contact you if your student is indeed sick and needs to go home. Any other communication between you and your child needs to happen through the front office. So they should come to the front office if they need to communicate with you. And if you need to communicate with them, you can contact our front office at 803-324-4400, extension 3100, and we can get any messages from you to your student. Chromebooks. Students are assigned a Chromebook. They are responsible for Chromebook care and use. Any damage or loss could result in financial charges, so please talk to your students about taking care of their Chromebooks. We do also monitor Chromebook usage through Content Keeper, which tracks and prevents access to inappropriate content, and Land School, which actually allows our teachers to monitor Chromebook usage. I know a lot of our students, especially at this age range, really struggle with appropriate use of technology. But that's one of the skills that they need to learn in order to be successful in their next stages in life. So we appreciate your support and continuing to encourage your student to learn how to use technology appropriately. Dress code policy. The dress code this year is the simplest one we've ever had. Common issues that we see, no hats, head coverings in the buildings. That also applies to sunglasses. As far as coverage goes, if you draw a line straight from armpit to armpit, then we expect to see no skin from armpit down to the fingertips. And that allows us to have to dress that is not distracting to other students in the learning environment. And then another common thing is shoes worn at all times and that they're safe for the school setting. The most common issue with that is bedroom slippers, so please make sure that those stay at home. If you have any further questions about dress code or want to know about more in depth what the rules are, you can check out the YPA Family Handbook. Mastery-based learning. We do have a video that I encourage you to watch if you'd like to learn more about mastery-based learning. We do focus each unit on a specific skill or standard. Students will receive instruction, have opportunities to practice before they take a mastery check. And it's really important that students are completing that practice because that's the opportunity not for them to just practice the skill, but actually to show themselves and their teacher if they are learning it, if they're mastering it, or if they're still struggling. So practice is that great indicator to them if they need to seek extra help from their teacher. Mastery checks is where they do then demonstrate that level of mastery, and if they don't get that 80 or level of mastery, they have an opportunity for retakes or corrections. But again, since this is talking about mastery, a lot of times students will really need to do something in between the initial mastery check and the retake, such as work with the teacher, do more practice, or participate in further instruction. After several units, then teachers will combine multiple skills through a test or project type assessment. And that's really what we're talking about. So anytime you have mastery-based learning, the grades are not necessarily evaluative of your student, they're reflective of your student's level of mastery. But also, unfortunately, work ethic does play into that. So if you're seeing a lot of zeros in practice, that means your student's really not taking advantage of the opportunity to not only practice the skills, but also demonstrate and show themselves if they're actually mastering the content. If they're not doing practice, it limits our teachers' ability to really work with them and know where their challenges might be. If you see zeros in mastery checks, that means for some reason that your student did not take the mastery check. And so they either need to work with their teacher to do that to make up that test, that mastery check. If it's past a deadline, they may not be able to make it up, but I can assure you that teachers do regularly remind students that they're missing something, but it is their responsibility to make sure that they work with the teacher to get that done. Retention policy. Students may be considered for retention for 20 or more absences, a failing grade in any core course, or failing grade in 2 or more related arts courses. I will communicate with families at the end of each quarter if any of their students fall into these categories. Students who do may be placed in summer school, in addition to having conversations about retention. And this is also a great time to note about the 8th grade promotion ceremony, a great celebration that we have for our rising 9th graders in May. But however, if we do have any 8th graders who are currently failing at that point in time, then they will not be allowed to participate in the ceremony. Textbooks and materials, we don't have a lot of textbooks on campus. A lot of things have been moved to online or class sets. However, your student is rarely given materials throughout the school day and school year, and they are responsible for taking care of those materials, and any loss or damage may result in financial charges. Behavior policy. So we do have very strict expectations for our students because, again, we're trying to get them to make better decisions and understand how their actions and reactions affect them now and also in the future. These are some of the most common issues that we see: classroom disruptions, defiance. It's definitely horseplay, hitting, pushing, shoving, fighting. A lot of students start out with what they think is fun, kind of pushing around, and then a lot of times emotions come into play after that, and it turns into a fight. Or we're seeing a lot of issues with students communicating through social media, getting upset, and then that turning into a fight. So it's really important that we talk with our kids, one, about keeping their hands off of each other, but also being very well aware of their words that they are using to each other, whether that be in person or through some sort of social media, text, or cell phone. Vaping and vandalism are obviously things we don't want to see on our campus. and we will communicate with you at any point in time that we see a behavior issue with your student. And again, we really appreciate when you partner with us in those opportunities to help your student to grow, and to really work with us on helping your student make better decisions in the future. This is how I ended this presentation with our kids when I met with them the first day back to school. And that's, today is a great day to have a great day. Essentially, there's always going to be crazy stuff that happens in your life. Some things may come at you because of your own decisions. Some things may just come at you because that's how life goes. We may not always have control over what comes our way, but what we do always have the ability to control is our actions, our attitude, and our reactions. So no matter what happens, we always have the opportunity to choose that today is going to be a great day. It is always a great day to be a patriot. Thank you so much for your time.